to Stefon on draft day, and what do you kind of recall from those conversations? You talked about it on draft day.
I remember him and what a big chip he had on his shoulder. I know he was a 5-star recruit coming out, stayed home to play at the University of Maryland. I think I told a story. I remember his freshman year, I was at a game at Virginia, and he took a kickoff return back for a touchdown. And usually when I go to these college games, even the young guys, I'll just put a little star by their name and just watched him. So we knew when we drafted him, he was probably more talented than when we got him. We were very fortunate to get him in the 5th round. We did spend time with him at the Combine. I remember interviewing him at the Combine, and you can just tell how important the game was to him. And I knew when he came in here, he was definitely going to have a chip to prove. And watching him through the OTAs, never missed a beat, worked probably harder than he ever has. And even as we were going through the business side of it out here, and his attitude this whole time has been great. And he's another young guy. I know where he's at right now in his career, but I know that he does have a high ceiling, and there are because of the way he works, the passion for the game, he's got a chance to be pretty special.
Do you think the stability with the quarterback, the coordinator, will help him maybe even blossom more?
I think, yeah, once we can, our defense has been together. I know when we sit there and go through cap planning, I know, we want to make sure we balance out all the economics on both sides of the ball. And hopefully having some of these offensive guys playing together and locked in for a while, that we'll be able to achieve that.
Anything specific, Rick?
How important was it to get this done now and before potentially the price of something get higher to get to free agency?
Well, we like I said, besides Coach Zim's office, I'm probably sitting in Rob's office more, especially this time of year. And we've had a plan in place for a long time. I told you that when we first started back in February. And we do our 3-year cap planning, so we were very excited, and we worked through this to be able to get this done. So it's great to not only sign Cousins and Richardson, but to keep our own, and that's going to always be a priority for us if we can.
Anything specific that happened the last couple of days that really got things going and getting this deal done?
I think it's just all a matter of the process.
So you've sat in Rob's office quite a bit. What does this do for the future? I mean, as far as being able to maybe do something at Barr and other guys.
Anthony is again another young guy that's not only a great football player for us that we drafted, that the coaches developed, but he's been a great person off the field in what he does. So we'll continue. I'll never talk business, out in the open or in the public, and I'll just tell you he fits everything that we want as a Minnesota Vikings.
Hey Rick, you talked a lot about drafting types of players that fit into the culture and the locker room. What do you think that can do for a player like Stefon, who did fall in the 5th round and maybe needed that support system around him?
I think, and ever since Coach Zim's been here, we've really honed in and said, these are the type of guys we want to build this program with. And I think now as these young guys can continue to come in, and they're seeing if you do it the right way, with how we want it done in our culture, we're trying to reward the players, and hopefully that resonates through the locker room.
Rick, how stable have things become too, especially since Mike came in with you and Rob and Mike? It just seems like the stability's gone up a lot since that time.
I think once I was, they kind of shuffled the structure around a little bit, and what type of head coach we needed here, and me being here for as many years as I have been here, and being on the same page, and when Coach Zimmer was hired here, and we spent a lot of time together before he was hired on what we envisioned, and hopefully we've had some success, not the ultimate success that we're looking for, and we're going to continue to strive for that, but it's everybody knows what direction we're going, what we're looking for, and I think the continuity and the stability that we have, not only on the front office side, but with the coaches and working together as one, is hopefully will benefit us.
When you look around the league and you see teams that have high-profile players that they have to sign, and a lot of times things come up, snags, it just doesn't work out, and players move on. What's kind of allowed you guys to just sort of methodically go down this checklist to get all these guys done so far?
I think it's the process we have in place, and too, I think ultimately I understand players, want to get rewarded for their success on the field. But I think with the culture that we've established here, and that we have a pretty good football team, ultimately everybody wants to win a Super Bowl. That's why we're in this business. I mean, financially you can take care of your families, but I think ultimately everybody is so competitive that they want to say that they were a Super Bowl champion. And I believe a lot of the guys that are coming here, the guys that do not want to leave, want to stay here, believe that we have a chance to potentially do that.
How important is it to keep that window as open? How important is it to keep that window as open as it can with 13 players under
Well, the
contract?
ultimate goal is to keep it open every year.
Sure.
And eventually these guys are going to get old and we got to continue to draft. And when we draft, hopefully we got these coaches do an unbelievable job developing these talents. And we have some young guys coming up in the wings, and we can't keep everybody. And then the next guys will step up and replace the guys that eventually, we won't be able to keep. So as long as we keep our philosophy in place and continue, like I said, to hopefully bring in the right type of players, not only for what they can do on the field, but off the field. And I'm be the first one to admit I'm never going to be 100%, but we're sure in the heck going to try as hard as we can to do everything the right way to put the team together and to keep this going.
Hey Rick, how far have things come to since your first day here? I mean, it was the Metrodome to the stadium, Winter Park to this place. Just as far
the
as
one
stability.
thing I tell everybody, and I've been in this business a long time and learned a lot as I've been through A to Z and probably back. But you can't teach this in a classroom, or you can't read it in a textbook. Now I'll have a hell of a book someday down the road, but it's as you go through these experiences, and whether it's on the field with the players or the coaches, it's always reassessing what you did, and if it didn't work out, why didn't it work out, and what can we do to make sure the next time we're in that. But sometimes, as hard as it is, you have to make mistakes, you admit your mistakes, you go back and assess why you made that mistake and learn from that, and then you move on from there. So, but until you have all these and like I said, go through experiences and learning curves, and it's amazing how far Coach Zim has come from his first year as a head coach to where he is right now, and how many times me and him sit and go back and forth on a lot of different subjects. But it's never, the thing that I think makes our place so special is no one has an ego. Everybody is one common goal, and no one gets their feathers ruffled when things go wrong. We sit down, we gather up, and we figure out how we're going to do this and move forward. And we'll always do, whether right or wrong, we're always going to try to do the best we can. And I can guarantee you that we will sit there and work our rear ends off to try to come out with the best outcome. I mean, the deck up here now, that seems to be the new hang spot where we've been here till 11, 12 at night, going through all this stuff and going through the process. But how we all work together, I think, it is critical. The coaches, the personnel, and myself, trying to put everything together.
Rick, when you have this many guys signed and what's the challenge of that, being able to balance out the rest of the roster?
Well, I said, Rob, we've, like I said, we've looked through 2019, we looked through 2020. I think Rob does an unbelievable job in the way he structures these contracts. I think that it rewards the player, but it's also, ideal on how we want our contract structured. So I think it's always, anytime you go into a negotiation, to me it's not, well, we beat you or you beat us. It's a win-win for both sides. And we can go in with an attitude on, listen, your guy deserves what the money he's going to get, but we also, need some things too. So when you can come to a common ground where you're both working, we don't want to lose these players, but we have some parameters we have to work in, and the agents, the guys that we've worked with, have been outstanding, understanding what our business principles are, working within our business principles, but yet rewarding their players.
Did you ever feel, Rick, that all the money the receivers were signing for with the market, that it could be problematic in these negotiations?
Well, I'll say that we assess everything all the time. It's a constant that we're looking at the, predicting where the markets go, and that's part of the job, is trying to assess and trying to predict. And I remember first time we did Everson way back, and everybody was like, whoa, you gave that guy a pretty significant contract, but that's what the market was. And he hasn't even started. He was playing behind Jared Allen at the time, and Everson came through, and not only as a football player, but as a person and as a man as well. And hopefully we're really honed in on those type of guys that we really truly not only believe as football people, but as men as well.
You've probably heard that story about Diggs and his father. What does that say about him? And
it tells you, and I was talking to his mother, and how proud she should be, not because of what he does on the field. To me, that's secondary. It's how your son has grown into a man, and how many people look up to him, and how many kids look up to these guys, and and they set great examples, and like I said, I'll always be the first one. I wish I would be 100% on that all the time, but I truly believe we believe in the players as we extend these guys, because they're buying into the culture that we have.
Was he emotional on that?
Two more.
Huh?
Was he emotional?
Yeah, I talked to him before we did all of the little BS pictures that we have to do on social
So you're saying
media.
the laughing one was staged?
Yeah, that was staged. No, we had a talk before we went in and signed the contract, and I talked to all of our guys, and one thing I tell them is, we're doing this because you deserve it. You've done everything here that we've asked you to do, and you deserve this. And we want to show you our appreciation for what you've done for this organization. But it always goes back to, we can't do this without the ownership and them providing the resources.
I saw he got to keep the pen.
Everybody gets to keep the pen. Harrison Smith signed his rookie deal with the pens we give him. And when he signed his extension a couple of years ago, he had the exact same pen. Good?
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, guys.